And we're back.
Hello again.
I'm Brian.
I'm Kevin.
And we are...
The Horror Guys.
The Horror Guys.
The Horror Guys.
From HorrorGuys.com.
With episode 72.
72.
Where we're going to talk about not movies this week.
Ooh, we're going to do something different.
Yeah.
If you're a big fan of the Creepshow movies from the 80s. It was the 80s, wasn't it? I didn't even look up when the originals came out.
First one was 82 and the sequel was 87. Yeah.
Some very classic movies from like when we were of prime movie age.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're still prime movie age, but you know what I mean.
We're always prime movie age. Yeah.
We're always in our prime.
That's right. I
mean, it doesn't get much horrible than getting old, right? For horror guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So I really liked Creepshow 1.
I liked the Creepshow 1
the best. And I liked
Creepshow
2 a little bit less, but I was still very entertained. I still don't mind watching it in reruns now and then.
Yep, me too. Yeah.
So last year they announced that Creepshow, the
TV
series.
How cool is that?
Was commissioned and went online with the Shudder network.
An anthology show in 6 episodes.
6 episodes with 2 stories per episode. You got 12 episodes. 12 episodes, yes. 12 episodes, and we're going to talk about all of them. Spoilers galore on all the stories, so you may want to watch it first.
You should, yeah.
But maybe before you watch them all, you'll want to hear what our opinions are.
Maybe.
What did you think overall of the series? We'll talk about the individual episodes with spoilers, but overall, what do you think?
Overall, I was entertained. Overall, I give it a thumbs up. Not as big of a thumbs up as the movies.
But?
Overall,
is there a but in there?
There was one that was a stinker, and I think we're in agreement on which one was the stinker.
Which one was the stinker?
The stadium with the people.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the very last one, or end of episode 5.
Yeah.
There were some good stories, and there were some stinkers.
Definitely some better, some better, some good, and one just stuck out as a... meh. Yeah.
Like, what can we do with this story? Well, just give it to Creepshow.
Yeah.
Every anthology has its stinkers. So that's to be normal.
But overall, I give it a thumbs up.
Overall, I was extremely looking forward to this because I really liked the first 2 movies.
You were
and I was extremely disappointed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think... Because it's about a 45-minute show, I think they probably designed this to be on network TV with commercials and stuff. So on Shudder, there's no commercials. You can watch it in 44 minutes. Mm-hmm. But that means each story is 22 minutes, minus a little bit for the credits and little animated things in between. So 20-minute stories.
They're crammed in, kind of.
And
they're short.
They're too short, yeah. The characters are all very flat and one-dimensional. It's exactly like watching a comic book, which I guess is kind of the point.
It's comic books.
But it does not adapt well to TV, I didn't think. It's the same thing as in the Creepshow movies, but in the Creepshow movies you were watching like 6 of the stories at a time, and the whole thing crammed together in an hour and a half or 2-hour movies, and it was fun. Some of the stories were good, some of the stories were not so great in the movies, but overall, you're left with a positive experience, and you watch them again and again. These whole episodes were kind of weak. Whole episodes were kind of good. And then, since you've only got 2, it seemed to me like they always paired a good episode with a meh episode.
Maybe they intended.
Can you think of any of these that had 2 real big winners in them?
Not right offhand, but as we discussed.
Yeah, we'll talk them in a minute.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm sure there was. Yeah.
I don't regret watching them, but I know though it was kind of a struggle getting me to watch the last 5, part 5 and 6. It was like, we got to do Creepshow for the show, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
And I was really looking forward to it to begin with.
Yeah.
So
I think I was more pleased and entertained than you were.
He was, yes.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to watch the whole rest of the episode, we are going to talk about each individual of the 12 stories with spoilers. If you prefer to go to HorrorGuys.com, you can read each of the reviews individually, one at a time, after watching them yourself. Mm-hmm. But to watch them, you have to have the Shudder network, which you get...
They do have an introductory free sign-up, like a week free.
Was it like $5.99 for a month?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I don't know if you want to be signed up for it for every month forever. But I'm certainly glad we got our first month's worth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of stuff. And it's neat on the
Lots
Shudder,
more that we will watch.
in addition to, like a Netflix kind of thing where you choose, the categories and search for. They have a live channel basically within Shudder.
Yeah, you tune in and it'll say Friday the 13th.8, and you can see that it's three-quarters of the way through. And
and you can just sit there and watch commercial-free horror movies constantly, one after the other.
If you're like, I don't care what, entertain me. And you turn it on, and there it is, like real TV.
Always something playing.
But this is a streaming service like Netflix or Hulu or something. We watched it on an app on our Apple TV. You could watch it on your phone or your tablet, or I assume the computer as well.
Yeah, once you subscribe, you can watch it on all your devices.
I don't know for a fact. I assume most smart TVs have the option. But it is an app that you subscribe to, a little under $6 a month. I think Shudder's pretty cool. And we're not getting a commission on that. It's not affiliate link.
Darn it.
There's no special.
If only
they don't have an affiliate option that I'm aware of.
No.
But we both strongly recommend it, and we're getting nothing for it, so there you go. So.
Here we go.
Here we go. Stay tuned, because at the end we'll talk about next week's films. We're going to go back to our regular 4 movies in a short format. All right.
So episode 1 started out with Gray Matter, which I remember reading, and the story really creeped me out. Yeah.
It was a story.
Oh yeah, all of
them were. Yes,
yeah,
of course
Stephen King short stories.
So the episode 1 is called Gray Matter / House of the Head, and I just assumed all along that second one was some sort of a typo or something. House of the Dead.
No, House of the Head.
House of the Head.
House of the Head. Yeah.
All right. So the directors for the episode are John Harrison and Greg Nicotero, the Walking Dead guy. Written by Byron Willinger and Philip de Blasi. Stars Adrienne Barbeau, Giancarlo Esposito, Christopher Nathan, and who's the guy from the Saw movies? What is his name?
Tobin Bell.
Tobin Bell,
yes.
Yeah. So star power, this is probably the biggest of all the episodes. A bunch of horror icons here.
Now, I noticed in this, too, that I don't think in the Creepshow movies, Stephen King was involved in the writing of the screenplays, and I don't think he did on these.
I don't think he had anything to do with this.
Well, they're based on his stories.
No, not all of them.
I think so.
No, one of these was by his son. I know Joe Hill did one.
Okay.
I think this was various writers.
Oh, okay.
If Stephen King was involved with this, it was not as heavily as the big movies.
Well, Gray Matter is definitely one of his.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Funny that he didn't get the credit for it. Byron Willinger and Philip de Blasi did.
I guess he handed it over and said, here, make this a screenplay.
Okay. Okay, so the first one is 46 minutes for the episode, and we start out with a little animated segment. Each one of them has an animated segment that apparently the animation budget ran out as they went through. It started out with like a 5-minute segment, then a 4-minute, and on the last one he just looks at the camera and laughs.
The Creeper.
Creeper.
Hosted by the Creeper.
Is it the Creeper or the Creep? I think it's just the Creep.
Oh, I always thought it was the Creeper.
He never had a name.
Yeah, I always thought he was the Creeper.
Look that one up while I read the...
Okay, yeah.
So in the beginning, this creature, who I called the Creep in all 6 of my reviews, opens up a locked box. And it resembles the box from the original Creepshow film, which was, if you've seen it, you remember the box. But this one's full of Creepshow comic books. He laughs, and credits roll. And the credits are actually really neat. There's sort of a 3-dimensional CGI thing of the Creeper, and like you fly around him, and he kind of builds it. It's kind of neat. It's a neat
comic
intro.
Booky. Yeah.
Yeah. And some of these, the intro is probably the best part.
Yeah.
So the first story is called Gray Matter. Hurricane Charlie is approaching, and people are preparing. Richie comes in for a case of Harrow's beer for his father, and Harrow's beer shows up in several of these stories. The shopkeeper gives him a moldy old box of beer, but the boy doesn't want to go home. He says his father is changed. Ever since his mother died, his father has been drinking a ton of Harrow's beer. Well, we see in flashbacks that Richie's father has become an alcoholic, but that was just the beginning. Sticky goop starts appearing everywhere, and his father suddenly got addicted to soap operas.
That beer was
could be more terrifying than that.
Beer was a little tainted, eh?
Yeah. Maybe it's the beer.
Yeah.
We never really get any of that from it. Never any explanation. Then he starts to physically change. Well, the sheriff and the doctor, who are Tobin Bell and Giancarlo Esposito, these 2 old guys hanging out in the in the general store with Adrienne Barbeau, who runs the store. So there you got your 3 big stars right there in a row.
Yeah.
So the sheriff and the doctor go to see the doctor, and the sheriff knows there are some weird things out there, he says. He's seen some stuff in his time.
You betcha.
They don't tell us what that stuff is, but it's there. They then get to the house, and everything is sticky and covered in goop, but they can't find Richie's father downstairs. They hear something upstairs and go up to investigate. And, not surprisingly, they soon regret their decision.
Yeah.
Well, the first episode has... You like this one?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
I liked the story better. I remember...
Oh, because you read the
story.
book.
Yeah, I read the...
Is it a book or a short story?
Short story.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it basically goes the same way?
Basically. Yeah.
Okay. I have not read it.
More detail, more difference.
I have not read any of
some
these
differences,
stories. Although some of them I could have written. The first episode has Adrienne Barbeau, Giancarlo Esposito, and Tobin Bell, so they clearly went all out for casting for this initial story. They're all a bit old for any kind of action scenes, so we get the real horror of the story through Richie's flashbacks. The creature effects here are really good.
Practical effects.
Yeah, they were practical effects,
Yeah.
I think. Okay.
Yeah.
But the story is pretty short and basic. They go home. The kid comes in, tells them there's a problem. They go investigate. Yep, there's a monster.
Yep, there's a problem. Yeah.
I'm already concerned that 2 stories in 45 minutes is going to be a little bit shallow.
Yeah.
That was my biggest concern right after the first episode, and yeah, it didn't go away.
Yeah.
Episode 2.
Episode 2, House of the Head.
A little girl has a very nice dollhouse.
It is a neat dollhouse.
It is, yeah. Somebody put some time in this. When she gets home from
It
school...
even has a little crate in the attic.
It does. A little crate with chains on it.
From the crate in the first movie.
The crate seems to be the memorable little thing.
Yeah.
When she gets home from school, she finds a miniature severed head on the dollhouse's coffee table.
Where did you come from?
She didn't put it there.
Yeah.
The dolls have moved as well, and they look concerned. The dolls are like...
Yeah, that was really well done, I thought, with the miniatures and the dolls.
Yeah. We never see anything actually move. It's just, you look away and then you look back and the dolls
and they
have
have
shifted.
moved, yeah.
Later,
like the dolls are living their own little horror episode for
they
real.
are. Yeah, later that night she finds the little head on the little couch in the little living room, and the dog doll has been shut out of the house. She thinks maybe the dollhouse is haunted. Well, they go to the dollhouse store, and the girl buys a policeman doll to watch over the house. And you see the man who sold her the dollhouse. And he's a perfectly normal guy. He didn't curse it or anything. It's just like a normal dollhouse store. Well, when they get home, the head isn't there. After dinner, she opens the dollhouse to find the policeman searching the attic. Later, the policeman is decapitated. And the head is laying somewhere, and there's blood coming out of his, little doll body.
And the little doll family is all horrified.
Yeah. Yeah, the doll family, they're like, throughout the entire thing. So she never sees anything move, but they obviously are doing things when she's not looking. So then, the guy at the store says, she wants to go buy a priest or a rabbi doll, and that guy doesn't have anything like that. So he gets her a Native American warrior, because they're a spiritual people. Next best thing. But that also doesn't last long. And then things start to get weird.
Yeah, they do. This was probably the weirdest one.
I think this one may have been the best one of the bunch, I thought. I liked this better than most of the others.
It was not as clear what was going to happen or where it was going to go.
Yeah, and I've never read a story about a severed dollhouse head.
The least predictable of all of them.
Yeah, most original. And this didn't have any star power. I didn't recognize any of the cast. But it was far more creepy since it wasn't obvious what would happen. And nothing is ever explained, but it's still a good story.
But it happens.
And on the first part with the gray matter, nothing's ever explained there either.
Not really.
You don't have time for it with these kind of stories.
Well, yeah. So much you can cram in.
Yeah, I think that... we'll come back. We'll figure out our best in a minute.
And then in episode 2...
Bad Wolf Down and The Finger.
Yeah. Not that finger. Yes.
Could be.
Carefully.
Directed by Greg Nicotero again, and Rob Schwab, written by Rob Schwab and David J. Show, stars David McDonald, Callan Wilson, and Kid Cudi, none of which I recognize by name.
No, me neither.
43 minutes, and we start out with the creep again, As the fortune teller comes to read the creep's palm, he laughs maniacally.
It is the creep.
The creep. Okay.
The creeper is Jeepers Creepers.
Right. Yeah.
And that's my bad. This is the creep.
So, a fortune teller comes to read his palm, and he laughs maniacally. Credits roll.
Okay.
That's kind of the extent of these intros from here on out. It's like
they're quick.
They had to have them, or they really couldn't use the Creepshow branding, I guess. Mm-hmm. But there's nothing to any of the animations. I liked the way in the movies the animations kind of fed in with the stories.
Yeah.
And here, occasionally, you'll see a comic book page that fades into the scene you're about to see. But it really doesn't affect the story in any way.
Well, and the movies had the creep threaded through a story that was running through the whole thing.
Yeah, there was a story with the animation.
The first one was the abused kid.
Yeah.
Who voodoo dolled his dad.
It was a story in itself.
He got a voodoo doll out of the comic. And the second one was a kid being bullied, and he got meat-eating plants from the comic book that were all grown up. And
right, I remember those.
Took care of the bully problem.
Yeah, well, these animations don't go together.
There's no story.
They don't
mean
anything.
Yeah.
Just something to introduce the show. Mm-hmm. All right, so the first story was Bad Wolf Down. Like Black Hawk Down, only
Bad Wolf Down.
Wolfier. Mm-hmm. So it's World War II, and the Americans are fighting the Germans in a forest. There's a sign posted "Danger" with the head of a wolf, and they hole up in a former jail, and something bad has already happened there. There's bloodstains on the floor.
Obvious struggle, and yeah.
Well, the German commandant finds that his son has been killed by these Americans, and he vows revenge. And the German leader is Jeffrey Combs, the reanimator.
I didn't recognize him.
He's gotten a little older.
A little heavier.
A little puffier.
And made up, too. So, but, yeah.
I don't think made up. I think that's just the way he looks now.
Okay. Anyway.
He's amazingly talented, but he's getting older.
Yeah, didn't recognize him.
Okay, so he vows revenge. The soldiers shoot a girl in the jail cell. One of the crazy soldiers is starting to freak out from, I don't know, being separated from the men, and he's getting scared. So he shoots a girl in the jail cell, and when the rest of the men go in to help her, she doesn't want them in the cell. She's like, no, let me die. And they end up getting locked in the jail cell with her because of the crazy soldier who then runs off. They watch the woman's bullet wound heal nearly instantly.
Yep.
She locked herself in the cage because she's cursed.
And
she is a werewolf.
Protect other people.
The Nazi commander shows up and demands their surrender, but they're still locked in the jail and couldn't come out if they wanted to. Then they come up with a bright idea. They get the girl to bite them all before she dies. The sun goes down and the moon rises.
It just happens to be a full moon, too.
Yeah, good thing.
And just happens to be nighttime suddenly.
And then the Nazis come inside at just the wrong time. Yeah. Well, first of all, it's really convenient that the Nazi commander waited until the moon rose to come in after dark.
Yeah.
Why would you go in when it was darker? They did have guns. They would still be slightly dangerous, even if they were so badly outnumbered.
Yeah.
Well, they found an amazingly simple and cost-effective way to show the werewolf transformations that I can honestly say I've never seen before, but it works perfectly on this show.
Comic book panels.
Yeah, they flip the pages of the comic book really fast, and you get like one of those. What do you call those?
Not stop motion. Yeah.
Not chat.
You know what I mean? Where you flip the pages.
Flip the pages in the book, yeah.
And it animates.
And he turns into the werewolf with the pages turning, and it's a kind of a cool effect.
They do that throughout these. They'll throw in comic panels and comic things.
Not as effectively as this one. This is really the only ones I like that I remember.
The best, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Jeffrey Combs is mostly wasted here, but at least they're still showing us that they have some thought into casting and some casting budget. The story here was fine, but the film Dog Soldiers did it better. Yeah. I like this one, though.
Yeah, I did, too.
Of the two, I think I like this one better. These two in this episode.
I did, too, yeah.
The second part is The Finger. Clark Wilson collects found out. Did you like this one?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You like the Dog Soldier one? Mm-hmm. Bad Wolf Down?
Yeah.
Okay.
Liked them both.
Yeah, I like both of these two.
Mm-hmm. Like the Soldier better. The Dog Soldier, Bad Wolf Down better.
Yeah.
Of the two.
All right. Well, Clark Wilson collects found objects. He's kind of a scavenger. He finds a strange-looking finger in the garbage. He can't figure out what kind of animal it came from. When he spills his beer on it, the finger absorbs the beer. The next morning, the finger's missing. He finds it on the other side of the house, and it's grown into 2 fingers and part of a hand. It's clearly not really dead.
You feed it and it grows back.
Soon, this thing has a whole new arm. A little while later, it breaks out of his freezer and out the window. That night, it comes back and hides in his freezer again. And it lays there and it purrs.
Yeah, it's just creepy. It fully forms into it.
It kind of looks like a white version of the xenomorph alien from Alien.
Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah.
But it acts more like a cat.
Yeah.
So it's covered in blood, and he finds a heart laying on his countertop. Police then come to the door, and they explain that Clark's ex-wife was brutally murdered last night.
You don't say.
The creature then walks through the kitchen and goes out the window again. It's a cross between a xenomorph alien and a dinosaur's, but he calls it Bob. He cleans up Bob and starts taking care of it. Bob likes soap operas and popcorn. All the evil things seem to like soap operas. And Bob also likes to kill the people who annoy Clark. Seems Clark's luck may be improving. Well, Bob's leg twitches when he sleeps, and he purrs as well. Whatever Bob is, they paid a lot of attention to the creature detail on this one.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
and
job.
DJ Qualls carries this story, and he usually steals the show in anything he's in. And again, I think this time the second story was better than the first, because it's more unpredictable. You didn't know what Bob was going to do.
Well, yeah, there was that, yeah. Was Bob going to eat him? Eat everybody? Split into 2 and take over the world? Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah. And, I mean, you find a finger, you don't expect it to grow into something, and then once you get the little monster, you don't expect to be friends with it or keep it like a pet, but he does. And it works out for... It starts out working for him.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And then episode 3. All Hallows Eve and the Man in the Suitcase. And I think I liked both of these as well.
I did.
Yeah. Both were very predictable. Very short time into it, I knew exactly what was going to happen. I knew how it was going to end. There were no surprises, but I thought it was pretty well done.
Well, I had read All Hallows Eve. And I don't know for sure if it was a Stephen King, but I read that one before.
I never saw Stephen King's name mentioned in any of these in the credits.
Well, I know he wrote Grey Matter for sure. Yeah.
There's a Google for that.
There is, yeah.
Well, okay, episode 3 was All Hallows Eve and The Man in the Suitcase. Directed by David Bruckner and John Harrison, written by Bruce Jones and Christopher Buehlman, stars Connor Christie, Madison Thompson, Jason Jabbar Wardlaw Jr., and runtime is 44 minutes. So we begin with the creep, who carves a pumpkin, until a delivery driver comes to his door. The creep then comes back and puts the delivery man's eyes inside the jack-o'-lantern. The credits roll.
That was a neat one.
Well, what there was of it.
Yeah, it was short, but,
Okay, so All Hallows Eve. The Golden Dragon Club gets together for trick-or-treating. The 5 teenagers give a pledge to do this thing this one last time, and this will be the very last time. They're all tired of this, but they have to do it. And at this point, I've already got to figure it out. The people and I never read the story. The people on their route seem terrified of them. "When will you stop, you psychotic little bastards?" screams one man, whose son was taken last year. We don't see the kids actually doing anything wrong, but everyone knows them.
You seem very afraid of these kids.
Yeah, and the kids look perfectly normal.
Yeah.
Eventually, they end up in an abandoned-looking house, and they all go inside. Mrs. Hathaway is sitting inside with a shotgun, and the kids state that they're looking for Eddie, who is supposed to live there. They've come for Eddie in order to break the cycle.
The last one.
Well, they grab Eddie and tie him to a tree. They put gas on the wood at his feet and set him afire. He screams that it was a prank. It was the other guy's idea. Well, we know that Eddie brought the matches way back then. And we see in a flashback that many years ago, the 5 were playing games in their treehouse on Halloween when Eddie and his gang locked them inside and set the place on fire. After they get their revenge, the 5 say their goodbyes and go back to their graves. And this really was the last time for all of them. Yeah.
Kind of poignant.
You like it?
Yeah.
It's all right.
It did. It was okay, yeah.
It's pretty early. It was pretty obvious early on that the Golden Dragons were ghosts or something, but their real purpose and specifics were not really revealed until the end. Once again, it's a really basic plot, but it's well executed and looks good throughout. Kids died long ago. They come back as ghosts. They kidnap the last person, the perpetrator, and they kill him with poetic justice. The end.
Revenge
is a dish best served dead.
They're cold or something.
They're all cold.
Yeah.
Actually, they were pretty hot there for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the second story, The Man in the Suitcase. Like this one?
I did.
I did too. Yeah.
Well, and I didn't know how this one was going to end up.
I pretty much did. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think I even guessed what he was.
Yeah. Well, I guessed what he was.
Okay.
Yeah, but how it was going to end, I didn't know.
All right.
Was he really stuck? Was he putting him on? Yeah.
Well, there's this guy at the airport whose name is Justin, waiting at the baggage area. His bag is delayed, but it pops out eventually. We soon see as he walks away that his clothes are spread out everywhere.
So what's in the suitcase if his clothes aren't in the suitcase?
While driving, he calls his girlfriend by accident, butt dialing, and she's mean to him because they just broke up. Well, Justin smokes some pot and then starts hearing things. Who saw that coming? Well, it sounds like there's a voice coming from the suitcase. He opens it, and there's a guy inside there, all folded up inside.
He's
really folded
up. Yeah.
Impossibly folded. Well, he refuses to go to the hospital. He just wants Justin to let him out of the suitcase. Well, Justin starts to pull out the man's foot, and a gold coin pops out of the man's mouth. Boing! It's like a slot machine. The folded up man explains, "An unfortunate condition requires me to output a golden coin when I experience pain." Huh. Where's this going to go, do you suppose?
Yeah.
Well, Justin starts getting ideas after he sells the coin for $275.
Because it's the real thing.
It's real.
Mm-hmm.
His friends Alex and Carla soon find the man in the suitcase, and they're far greedier than Justin is. The plan is to keep him for 48 hours and then let the man out.
Yeah, that's what they all agree to.
Yeah. Well, they wire up a car battery to him and turn it up.
And other things.
Yeah. The gold flows like water with the car battery.
Oh, yeah, just coming out of his mouth in a stream.
Justin starts to object to the cruelness of it, and the two friends kill him. Suddenly, the man in the suitcase does something not completely unexpected.
Mm-hmm. Not completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just from the way the guy spoke and looked and talked, I had him pegged as a genie from like the first sentence.
Oh, yeah.
But the manner of his revenge I did not see coming.
Well, and I didn't know if it was going to be a wishes thing, where he lets him out of where he's really trapped in the suitcase, and because he does say that there's people after him. He alludes to, and so I think, well, this kid's going to rescue him, and he's going to have a genie friend.
But there really wasn't anybody after him. It was just the cover story.
Yeah.
Or
but
it
could have been. Yeah, I felt I didn't know for sure.
Yeah.
I felt I knew he was a genie, but I didn't know how it was going to go from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Once the coin popped out, I knew how it was going to go.
Oh.
Okay, so this one had a lot of humor in it. This is probably the funniest of the series, which was a nice break from the mostly depressing previous installment.
And the guy playing the genie was great.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. It was also one of the few that I actually enjoyed throughout. So, yeah. I think those first 3 episodes were very good, very worth watching. And if it had been a 3-episode series, it'd be getting a strong thumbs up from me. Yeah. But then the 4th episode came out.
Oh, see, I liked the companion a lot. The first story in this one, number 4. Yeah.
All right.
And I liked the better half one too. I liked them both. I liked this one a lot, actually.
Companion was all right. The better half was dumb.
Nuh-uh. We're not dumb. It was good. It was pretty good, at least.
Episode 4 was The Companion / Lydia Layne's Better Half. Directed by Roxanne Benjamin and David Bruckner. Written by Joe R. Lansdale and Casey Lansdale. Stars Logan Allen, Dylan Gage, Voltaire Colin Council, and she's not on the list, but who was number 6 on Galactica? Tricia Helfer was in the other one. Yes. 43 minutes. So we start out with the animated bit, and the creep reads a comic book and laugh. Credits roll. That's it. That's really all there is to it.
Not much of a story there.
So, the companion. Harold's older brother beats him up. Sounds like it happens kind of regularly. Mm-hmm. Harold is hanging out fishing at the river alone, recuperating from his ordeal. Billy approaches to beat on him some more. Billy chases Harold into the woods.
And he's persistent.
For hours.
Yeah.
It gets dark and the chase continues. through the old cemetery, past the creepiest scarecrow ever. I did like the scarecrow.
Yeah.
Well, the scarecrow has a long wooden stick sticking out of it. Right there. Mm-hmm. And Harold pulls it out to use as a weapon. Harold takes shelter in an old abandoned house, but now he seems to be pursued by the scarecrow and his brother.
Which has come to life.
Yeah, after having the stick removed, he comes to life. Well, Harold finds a dead body in the cellar, along with a note explaining how the farmer there lost his wife and then created his own companion in loneliness.
Kind of accidentally. At first, he just kind of...
He was making a scarecrow and got carried away.
Got real carried away. Worked a little magic into it, unintentionally.
Yeah. It came to life, but it terrified the farmer after it started eating Girl Scouts. Not the cookies.
Yeah, that was an uh-oh, you can see that coming. When the little girl comes onto the farm, it's like, oh, yeah, it's hungry.
I like Girl Scout cookies. I don't care about the cookies. I like the Girl Scouts.
Yeah.
Well, he ended up stabbing it in the heart with his cane. The farmer then kills himself. This is like on a little handwritten note this long. We get like this 5-minute flashback. Mm-hmm. Harold uses the cane to tame the creature, and then Harold goes home and gives Billy what's coming to him.
The companion.
Kid runs through a cemetery, finds a scarecrow, takes it home, gets revenge. Yeah. That takes us to our second part. Lydia Layne's better half. The creature effects were very good now.
Yeah.
Well, Lydia promotes Tom to the new CFO of the company. And Lydia's girlfriend, or wife, Celia, is angry because she wanted the position and trusted that Lydia would give it to her. Lydia, on the other hand, just wants the two of them to be together forever. The two fight, and Celia ends up dead in an accident. Got one of those
pointy trophy ever.
Pointy trophy on the table, and she falls right on it. Right through her head.
Right through her head. Yeah. So then it's kind of a hilarity show of her trying to... Because there's still other people in the building and stuff going on, and she's trying to get her discreetly out of the building without anybody discovering.
Well, Lydia wheels the body to an elevator.
This had a lot of dark humor in it, too.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But an earthquake strikes just as the elevator descends. Soon, she's stuck in the elevator with Celia's corpse. She falls while trying to get out and knocks herself unconscious. When she wakes up, it's 3 a.m. and nothing has changed. Lydia hears a fireman on the emergency box, but Celia's body seems to keep moving on its own. And just like with the dolls, it's every time she looks away, it's changed. You never see her moving. Mm-hmm. So at 8:30 p.m., she's still in the elevator, and the fireman calls again. They're getting to her. I guess it's a big earthquake. Mm-hmm. Well, she starts getting freaked out by the body and tries to climb out of the elevator, and that doesn't work so well for her. And then we figure out which half of Lydia is the best. Yeah. We talk about her better half.
Kind of gave that away in the title.
Yeah. Well, if it sounds like I'm repeating myself, it's because I am at this point. These little episodes all look good and move quickly, but there's just nothing much to them story-wise. They just cannot tell an engrossing story in 21 minutes. This would have been a fine anthology set. If they had simply made another 1 or 2 Creepshow movies, 2 hours, no breaks, this might have been pretty good. These might have been better.
I think so.
Breaking it up into a series, it loses momentum.
2 movies, longer stories.
Yeah, it loses some momentum that way.
Choppy.
Yeah. All right, which takes us to episode 5.
Night of the Paw.
But before we get to episode 5...
What you got there?
Time to talk about our own little comic books.
Behold.
Yeah, Tales to Make You Shiver. By... Brian Shell and Kevin L. Knight. Us.
We wrote an anthology of horror stories.
We've written 2 anthologies of horror stories.
And we've written other stories, too. Yeah. And you've written technical things. But these are horror. These are like horror.
Yeah.
And this is the Horror Guys podcast. And you are all horror fans.
If you like the short shorts of Creepshow, you'll like the short shorts of Tales to Make You Shiver, Volume 1 and Volume 2.
Now, Volume 1, I believe you wrote.
I wrote all of Volume 1.
And then we alternated stories written.
And I think the second one might be better because of the variety. It's got stories like Hunger, Ghost Cat, Mushroom Madness, The Factory, We All Scream,
That's
and
my favorite.
The Fairy Kidnapping. Okay, I don't even remember who wrote what there, but
I wrote We All Scream, and it's the favorite of the ones I wrote.
Pick it up at Amazon or anywhere where you buy books. You can get an ebook version of it, You can get a paperback version of it. And again, it's Tales to Make You Shiver Volume 1 and also Tales to Make You Shiver Volume 2. And when Halloween comes around this year...
There's going to be a third one.
Just saying.
Just saying. Yeah.
Okay. So, back to Creepshow. The video.
Yeah.
Anthology. Night of the Paw. And Times is Tough in Musky, Holler. You can't even say that without a southern accent. Times is Tough in Musky, Holler. Directed by John Harrison, written by John Esposito and John Skip, stars Bruce Davison, Hannah Barefoot, and Susanna Devereaux. 44 minutes. Well, in the introduction, the creep stands at the door and does nothing but laugh at the animation budget for this episode. Credits roll. We zoom on him, he opens the door and he laughs and the credits roll. That's really it. That's the whole... Yeah, they stopped caring about the animation at this point.
I think so, yeah.
Night of the Paw. You like it?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I did too. I've always liked... Bruce Davison goes all the way back to the original Willard in the 1960s. And he's been in so many horror and sci-fi shows.
Yeah, he has. He's always good.
And he's still doing it. He still likes all the... Just like Jeffrey Combs, who's not that old. But, yeah, been in almost everything eventually. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he's always good.
Yeah. Call him Whitey in this one.
I can't think of anything he's been bad in. I can't think of anything Jeffrey Combs was bad in.
No.
Some of these people are just very consistent.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, so this woman is driving really fast, running from the police, and of course in a storm. She wrecks the car and is severely injured. Meanwhile, a man has a monkey's paw, and he seems to be waiting for something to happen. The woman for the accident rings his doorbell and passes out. He treats her wounds and cuts off a few damaged fingers. Turns out he's a mortician, not a doctor. Snip, snip.
Yep. Fixed them right up.
Well, yeah. She's not any worse for it.
Yeah.
She wakes up and finds the man, who says his name is Whitey, working on a dead woman. Mortician.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He says that he fully expects that he'll be dead by morning, but he has plans for Angela, the woman. This turns out to be his wife's birthday, and he wants to give the monkey's paw to Angela. We'll be seeing a flashback that Marjorie...
Well, he wants more than that from her, but yeah.
We haven't got there yet.
Part of the deal.
Yeah. Seeing a flashback, Marjorie, Whitey's former wife, made a few frivolous wishes when she got the monkey's paw that came true. The third wish for her was for all the money they would need. And then she died.
Be careful when you're not.
Monkey's
be more
paw
specific.
never works.
It can't be that unspecific.
She died, and he collected the insurance money.
Mm-hmm. All the money they'd ever need.
Yep.
Yeah.
So then it was his turn with the paw. His first wish was for Marjorie to come back from the dead.
And she doesn't show up.
A week later, when she doesn't show up,
didn't work.
He remembers that she's still locked in a sealed coffin 6 feet under.
Something reminds him.
The locking coffin.
He's messing with the coffins, the new models, and she's alive. Whoops.
Well, he digs her up, and she tries to eat him.
Yeah.
She's a zombie now.
Yeah.
Whether she'd have got up right away if he hadn't forgotten about her, we don't know, but it doesn't work out so well.
Mm-hmm.
So he kills her. The second wish was to put her back the way she was.
Yeah,
dead in the ground.
And that was a cool, gross out effect too. And he's trying to kill her because he freaks out and chopping her up and and she does. The parts don't die, and so he has to use a second wish to wish her undone again.
And then his third wish is for a killer to come and remove his suffering. Because suicide is a sin; he can't do it himself.
And he's feeling.
I guess wishing for someone to kill you, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Feeling awful and guilty and terrible and just wants it to end, and so that's his third wish. Yeah, so the problem is that Angela is a killer, but she's not that kind of killer, which we see in a flashback. Mm-hmm. Not only that, but now she has 3 wishes coming. And how will that go? Not well. It doesn't work well for her either. Yeah. Stay away from the monkey's paw. The monkey's paw was neat though, and it started out with when you get the 3 wishes, it's 3 little fingers are up, and then the fingers curl down, and you get that many. Yeah, the little fingers broken off. It shows how many wishes you have left by how many fingers are still sticking out. When it's down into a fist, you've used them up. That was a neat effect. Yeah, it definitely was. Okay. Yeah. So with a trope like the monkey's paw, you always know exactly what you're going to get in the story, but the fun is not knowing what the victim is going to get. How is it going to turn badly for him? Yeah. That's very much the case this time. It's well acted, and it's not clear until the end what the inevitable consequences are going to be. Mm-hmm. You know it's going to work out badly. You know the wishes are going to get twisted,
but you don't know how. Mm-hmm. That's why the monkey's paw keeps coming back in story after story after story.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, the next story, Times is Tough in Musky Holler. Yeah, it is. It's tough in Musky Holler. Mm-hmm. Well, a bunch of people are locked up in jail, including several police officers and the mayor, and they've apparently done something as a group. The mayor screams that he can make a deal. You know who I am. I'm the mayor. Let me out. Well, they're all marched out of the cell as their crimes are read aloud. Then they're all strapped to chained to chairs, and they're all about to be raised up to something. There's some sort of a lifting platform that will raise them up. Well, we see in brief flashbacks that each of these people have done some terrible things since the zombie apocalypse began. The people in charge now wind up in chains, and the prisoners are raised up through neck-sized holes in the ceiling. They're in an arena. Each man's head pokes up through a little hole in the ground.
Men and women.
Men and women. Yeah, there was one woman, I think. Yeah.
No, there was a couple.
Was there? Okay.
Yeah.
And they released caged zombies, the zombies of their former victims, onto them. Yeah, well, there was literally nothing to this story.
I didn't like it.
It's all set up for a cool shot of the heads poking up through the holes.
And there's a whole lot of exposition.
Yeah. The shot of the 10 people in the holes made it look like shuffleboard or bowling alley or something. It was a cool shot, would look great as a comic book panel, but as a video for 20 minutes...
I don't think this one worked.
It was all built up to that one scene. It was, this was the worst of the bunch.
I agree.
Yeah. And then the 6th episode, which was not the worst of the bunch, but it wasn't great either, I didn't think.
Well, I thought they were quite good, but I could see where they were going.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Predictability is this whole series' biggest problem.
Yeah. This one, I think, maybe the most.
And this was the last one, the one we were left with a bad taste in our mouth with, was kind of... The first 3 really were good, but it goes downhill fast. This one is episode 6, Skincrawlers, and By the Silver Water of Lake Champlain. Directed by Roxanne Benjamin and Tom Savini. Written by Paul Dini, Stephen Langford, and stars Melissa St. Amand, Chad Michael Collins, and Dana Gould. 44 minutes.
Good makeup in this one, too.
Yeah. We start out with the animated bit. The creep goes fishing for corpses. Credits roll.
Yep.
He's standing there, he throws his line in, and the credits roll.
Yeah.
We don't see any good corpses, nothing happens. It's just there. So, Skincrawlers. Did you like it?
Yeah. Predictability aside, I liked it, yes.
For a little bit leaning up to it, we're both Doctor Who fans.
Mm-hmm. And it made us think, both of us.
Yeah, instantly.
The fat just walks away.
That episode of Doctor Who with the little creatures that ate the fat, it's the same story, but these creatures aren't as cute.
It made us think of this, yeah. They're a little more deadly. Yeah.
Well, there's a radical new weight loss procedure that will let you lose 100 pounds in 3 days.
And then it ends up being even faster than that.
Yeah. Some people are going in and walking right out with their fat gone.
Yeah.
The procedure has been known to have a 100% success rate. Well, there's this creature that came from a wastewater reservoir inlet in the Amazon that is a strange mutant. It's an evolved leech that eats fat.
What could go wrong?
And it looks like this giant, bitey snake thing. And I ain't gonna let that thing get in my stomach.
But it works.
Henry doesn't want to do it, and he says no. And 2 weeks later, he gets a second chance, and he's back to do it anyway. Well, he's on a news program as they do this expose on this new weight loss thing. Most people have already had it done.
Well, no, the procedure's about to go public.
Awful lot of people we find later has had it done.
Yeah, but they were all there.
Yeah. Okay.
All there. Yeah.
And the news report, the story before his, mentions that there's a total eclipse coming this afternoon, and animals are known to behave strangely during, solar eclipses. Well, the eclipse began, and everyone starts getting stomach aches.
And growly stomach.
Well, suddenly worms start crawling out of people's holes, and some of them, their heads just explode. And who would have guessed that there would be a problem with this process?
This was the wettest episode, the bloodiest episode.
Definitely.
By far. Yeah.
Well, the fat just walks away. Well, where have I heard that before? Or in this case, it slithers away through a puddle of blood. The story is once again very light, but the splatter and creature effects are pretty good here.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, if you don't care about the stories, the visuals in all of these are really good. Yeah, these are very well filmed.
Good practical
good
effects.
Yeah. They just needed better stories.
Yeah.
And the final story of Season 1, By the Silver Water of Lake Champlain. Lake Champlain is said to have a Loch Ness-style creature living in it. A girl named Rose has been researching the creature that supposedly killed her father, who was similarly obsessed with the monster. Rose's boyfriend comes by, and her mother's new boyfriend, who is clearly a creep himself, runs the boy off.
Stepfather, I think.
Oh, they're married. Okay.
I think they were, yeah.
Yeah, he's still a creep.
Yeah, he was.
Rose runs through the woods and runs into something that neither of them can immediately identify. It turns out to be the sea monster, lying dead on the beach. This proves that her father was right all along.
But she took lots of pictures on her cell phone, right?
Polaroid.
Yeah, I know. I'm being facetious, because it's not modern day.
I think they mentioned 83 somewhere. Mm-hmm. That's probably why they had a Polaroid instead of the camera.
Yeah, and she didn't have a cell phone.
Most of these, the time frame doesn't matter
100
too much.
pictures of it.
Yeah. So Mom's boyfriend follows them out there, and he plans to take credit and make a fortune on the corpse. Come see the monster. Well, they argue, and the boyfriend doesn't see the creature's much larger mother coming up behind him.
And that's what I said. Like, oh, look, he's standing with his back to the lake.
What could happen?
Well, I know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Especially when we hear it coming.
Yeah. Well, before it. Before that.
Well, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's also a pretty weak story with weak one-dimensional characters. Okay, so my wrap-up is the original Creepshow films had a collection of short stories just like this, all presented together for 2 hours, and it was a lot of fun. Splitting them up into pairs like this series just doesn't work so well.
Not as well.
It's the momentum problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In retrospect, the whole series is probably fine for kids. But overall, the stories are just too short and simple.
You want kids to watch all this gore and horror and...
I would have loved this show as a 12-year-old.
Exploding body parts and...
I'd show it to my kids if I had some. The characters are all one-dimensional, and none of it is particularly memorable. It's got quite a bit of star power in the casting for some of the episodes, and it all looks really good. Mm-hmm. So it may actually win some awards for production values or something. But I'm really not looking forward to the next year's episodes.
Rumor has it there's a new season of it coming.
I don't know what... I'm not that familiar with Shudder yet to know how many different, proprietary series they have. This might be their main one.
They have some original works.
Yeah.
I don't know how many they have.
Yeah. Overall, like I said, I don't really regret watching it.
No, I don't. I certainly don't.
But I'm glad it's done. We can go back to our regular format next week.
Yeah. What are we going to watch next week?
Okay.
Movies.
Well, next week we'll be watching some more classics and modern horror. We'll begin with The Frozen Ghost from 1945. Yet another one of those Inner Sanctum films.
How do you freeze a ghost?
You'll find out.
Yeah.
Dracula Has Risen from the Grave with Christopher Lee, 1968.
Right. He's always good. He's always good as Dracula.
Dr. Sleep, starring Obi-Wan Kenobi from 2019.
But I don't understand because Dracula fell in the mold and we never see him again. How can this be? How can Dracula be back again?
Summer? He's melted? I don't know.
Okay.
I know I've seen it. I don't remember.
Yeah. They always find a way to bring him back.
Okay, Dr. Sleep from 2019 with Obi-Wan McGregor and Videodrome from 1983.
Classic science fiction.
Not going to comment on Obi-Wan McGregor?
Obi-Wan McGregor?
Yeah,
I know who you meant.
Yeah. Thanks. That's our show. Thanks for joining us. Stop in during the week at horrorguys.com to read all the reviews as they come out. Comment on the podcast or contact us. There's 1,000,001 different ways to contact us. Look at the show notes for the podcast or down at the bottom of the description in YouTube or go to horrorguys.com or send us an email at horrorguysmail@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your comments. We'd love to hear your suggestions. We'd love to hear you tell us how stupid we are for loving or hating Creepshow. Let us know.
What you think.
Yeah.
And
that's it for this week.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Brian. We should really get an animated episode of
We need to like a full skeleton.
Yeah. Yeah. Not the same.
Wow,
not the same at all.
That sounded like a goat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.